Hey, this is a commentary for a video that I recorded. The reason why I have to re-record these videos is because they're trying to put my new location since I relocated. They deliberately want people to know where I'm at. That way the government has an alibi for their crimes. They can blame the crimes that they're committing on YouTubers when it's actually the government enlisting civilians to deprive me of services and all this other things. They're in cahoots with people. The government and law enforcement is having people treat me this way, but they need an alibi that I'm not being railroaded and targeted. So then they try to put my location out there so then they can have YouTubers, these fake YouTubers, take the fall for their crimes. But they were committing this. Police would come from nowhere when I wasn't recording. I would get off a bus and be arrested for catching a bus, 7 or 8 police, and nothing's happened. The police department were hunting me down, and that's why I have so many false arrests in Dangerfield trying to report the crimes with my card. That's why I had to get the channel, because they were torturing me, and then now to validate their behavior, they're blaming everything on these counterfeit YouTubers. That's really the government trying to conceal crimes they repeatedly commit. So this is the organization. I'm calling them, and they kept hanging up in my face. This is a repeated pattern. It's psychological abuse. The third time this organization has hung up on me. 2 times from this location and 1 time.
It's probably the phone, ma'am. Let me call that extension.
For 3 times? 3 times? It's the phone, but it happens with all my calls just about. I'm being hung up on. I thought it was deliberate because it happens too many times.
Okay, I'm sorry, Miss Kiana. Hold on.
Yes, I was a police officer has not called me in like 2.5 weeks. I was told that I had to get off the line because the police officer was going to call me, and this is a repeated pattern where police departments have been avoiding me and denying me law enforcement. And I'd like some clarity on if doing that to a citizen trying to report crimes repeatedly over and over, if that's criminal. I'm just trying to give accountability for the police department. It's Kiana Clark. It's Kiana Clark, and I want direction on what to do when police abuse their power.
Who's supposed to be talking to you? Who's supposed to be calling you?
What's your name?
So who is supposed to be calling you?
What's your name, ma'am?
Do you know?
What's your name?
Cynthia?
Okay, I think you were the one that told me a police officer was trying to call me, but I was on the phone. It hasn't happened in 2.5 weeks.
Probably not, but I just need to know what officer was going to call you.
All I know, if I can communicate properly and not be interrupted speaking, I'm trying to seek direction
from. I'm trying to find a call so we know what call.
But I mean, if I'm calling you and trying to communicate an experience and get direction, I don't understand what is happening. If I'm trying to be able to talk and get direction on where to go, I think that we're not on the same accord. Because repeatedly when I make phone calls, I'm not able to communicate to people why I call. They are psychic and already premeditate that I'm going to call them for some reason.
Look up your phone number.
I'm sorry? What did you say?
I asked her to look up your phone number so we can see if we can find the call where you were calling in.
But do you think it's psychologically abusive if I can't communicate at multiple different locations while I called and I can't speak? Is that like torment? If you're robbed of that right to get things resolved and addressed and you call location to location and people interrupt you from talking to conceal what you're going through? You think repeatedly call to call, you're getting hung up on, violated? Do you think that that's psychological torture?
No.
Well, other people I believe would, and that's why I got the YouTube channel. To make someone pay a phone bill for services they can't properly get in list places to hang up on them, devalue them, and make sure they never feel validated.
I have hung up on you, and you've been calling and you've been talking ever since you called. So, okay, I'm pausing it. So I want you guys, this is commentary. I want you guys to realize what is going on. This is deliberate psychological abuse. Okay, so when my abuser was mad and the government, my kids would call and start arguments out the blue. Other people would call, like the other party, and I know that my story isn't realistic. So it was obvious that someone was putting people up to behave this way for psychological torture. Like with my sister, things were going fine. I uploaded a video 2 days prior of a new haircut and all dressed up and fixed up. The police department comes a couple days later in the scam to my own flesh and blood sister's house on blatant lies. So what I'm trying to do is establish a pattern that I've been tortured and psychologically abused with the government enlisted in it.
So I just want you guys to realize what's going on. Let me continue the recording. Interrupted me, but if I'm someone's trying, can you explain to me why you guys are so upset and I'm getting death threats and fleeing a domestic violence crisis that involves the police department? Are you furious with all women that are trying to flee domestic violence crises? Are you upset with all women that get death threats? I'm just trying to get clarity because for multiple different police departments are furious. Can you explain?
Have an officer call you.
You don't want me to know why you're so furious?
I'm not furious. I'm just trying to see if you want someone to call you or not.
Well, if I can be able to communicate, because like I established, this is psychologically abusive.
Okay, and again, do you want me to have an officer call you?
What I was trying to communicate, if you would have let me finish speaking, that it hasn't happened in 2.5 weeks. Okay. I thought you sound like the same person, you sound like the same person.
There's like 20 of us here.
But I try to keep an inventory on voices because I've been going through a lot of different things and people don't want to be honest about their behavior. But I could be mistaken, but you sound like the person that said that the police were about to call me and it never happened. This is psychologically abusive, ma'am, and I think it's deliberate. Call to call to call. You have to prove something like this repeatedly keeps happening.
So I'll have an officer call you if you want him to call you.
Okay, I would like to escalate to a supervisor to speak with someone other than you. You have a different agenda. You deliberately don't want me to get things resolved.
Hold on real quick,
and you want to be sadistic and...
Hold on.
It's all control. They're not going to get these felonies without a fight. Everything is carefully... and I have to really be careful of what I'm saying, but I'm trying to give people the reality check on the viewers, the reality check. So my abuser says that I'm a part of a government experiment with psychological torture. And through this process of years, I just did not understand the extreme for petty. And I just didn't understand the constant mind games. It was just so sick and sadistic how the government will act like a child. But my abuser claims that I'm a part of a government experiment where they play mind games. For the petty, why would someone come into your house and steal petty things? And it's only happened since I've been targeted and you can't really communicate it, but I've reported a lot of thefts even at shelters. Why would the shelter steal my sleeping bag? And then when I tell them that I'm going to call the police, why would the other one take perfume? Why would another of my roommates put glue on my brand new coat? Well, but this is repeated insanity. The list goes on and on for these weird experiences. Why at this new location, the location I just left, did someone take my phone? But that's a repeated pattern. I think it was staff. I don't know who, but why would someone come in and steal someone's phone? Well, the phone was vital because I don't know if this was already on another video because I was recording the crooked court for setting up nonetheless, let me go ahead and play this. Orchestrated and controlled to keep you in corruption enforced. It's paid to make sure you cannot escape it, period. If I'm shelling out this money, I want it to be impossible for her to escape it, and it is. So now they've escalated the gang stalking and other criminal activity into avenues I can't report that I have to endure. And I can't, each location I'm at robs me of my ability to be able to report crimes deliberately. So it's a free reign of terror with people doing things to me that I can't report, and I'm trapped in it.
We're sorry, your call...
It doesn't even... Weird. I've called places, and it has been other places with the same number. It is just the strangest thing. If I'm calling, let's say the Dallas Police Department, how am I getting an animal shelter? And they're hoping I don't record it. So if I'm calling one location, how is it possible to get another one?
Hello.
Hello. Who am I speaking with?
I have no idea.
Hello? Weird.
I can barely hear you.
Yes, who am I speaking with?
Who are you looking for?
Are you trying to conceal who you are?
No, but you don't know who you called?
I was transferred, but I want to know who I'm speaking with.
Who you transferred from? Did you call the police department?
Right, but I don't know. This is peculiar for you to want to hide your identity?
Well, no, because I'm calling. This is actually transferred to my cell phone. It came on unknown, so I'm not sure.
Well, someone thought that I needed to speak with you. Can I know who you are? And I may be able to, let you know who I am if you don't try to conceal your identity.
I'm not trying to conceal my identity. I'm not sure who the phone call was for.
It's for you. Can you just tell me who you are? I called.
You called the comm center at the police department. This is Lieutenant Cuentello.
Okay, I'm not quite sure. I think that we have spoken before, and I'm not quite certain on what to do. There's been a history of me being denied law enforcement. I get terrorized. And then what my abuser does is pay off the police department to keep me in his abuse and punish me and have him arrest me. And he's threatening to pay someone to arrest me here. And it's happened 20 plus times. So I'm undergoing a lot of things, crimes. I can't report crimes, death threats, stalking, fraud online, all kind of other crimes that I've been trying to report. Conspiracy to violate rights charges, corruption with courts, putting a case on me on dismissed charges when I fled to a new environment. They were desperate because there was no possibility to get me arrested. So a court that dismissed charges reopened charges to make another. So I'm pausing it. I was released in February. Okay. I think the release date was February 13th. They dismissed the charges. I was arrested October 13th. And then on false charges. And got out of jail February 13th. Then in March, they did on the dismissed charges, they created another case. I mean, it's constant. So I relocated. The abuser didn't like that, was getting settled in. And then not only did he set up the false charges, enlisted this location to also conspire with mind games, psychological abuse, and to keep me from services in my new location. Okay, I'm playing the recording again. The case. And I sent emails to Schubert showing evidence of that, how I've been treated with my court-appointed attorney, trying to conceal crimes, and other government officials and court staff. And it was ignored. I also sent it to the chief. They also had evidence that my phone was hacked and that I was getting death threats and cover for it and want to investigate it, which are felonies, tried to conceal it. Then I tried to report to another officer that these people are being influenced, and she covered for that as well. But I don't feel secure because a lot of crimes are being committed to me, and I'm not able to get law enforcement as I haven't for 10 years plus. So if you're a police, I'm sorry?
Call someone today.
So if a police, or if they're abusing their power and concealing crimes, isn't that obstruction of justice? Isn't that a felony?
Well, it depends on the circumstances. I'm not sure.
Well, I did communicate with you that there's been a lot of crimes being committed. My phone was hacked, and I'm getting death threats, and then the government officials racking up charges for themselves, and I'm being deprived of law enforcement to report it. And I've reported crimes and haven't had a call in over 2 weeks. And they keep playing mind games, saying someone's about to call me, and they'll call me, and it hasn't happened. But this has been a repeated pattern. My abuser boasts in emails about how he's buying off the police department. So what he likes to do is make sure the police department's fully controlled. Then he escalates his harassment and abuse, knowing when he feels secure that he won't be held accountable for his actions.
What detective did you talk to?
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear you.
What detective did you talk to?
Well, I sent Schubert emails, and he's been, after he realized that it was corruption, indeed, he started ignoring me, and I sent emails to the chief. But my main concern is that my harassment that I experienced and really can't report has been escalated. And then I got death threats and all kind of other different things, and being robbed of the right to report crimes to law enforcement. I just wanted to know if that was obstructing justice, and what consequences would that be for the police to enlist parties to keep me from services, violate my rights, be psychologically abusive, and exclude me from services other parties get.
Right.
If someone...
What number did you call? What number did you call today that transferred you to me? Who did you speak to first?
I think I spoke with you in the past before, and then you hung up and was at bizarre. But I'm just, my calls are really mysterious, and I only seem to talk to people that cover for crimes.
Who did you call today that transferred me to
We've already talked in the past. Don't you remember? And you hung up?
No, but today you said you got transferred.
This would be the second time that somebody thought that I should speak with you and just really didn't get anywhere. If you're a police, we're deflecting on the...
I'm trying to find out who you called so I can find out why you're not getting answers from that person.
If you're a police, I did want to reiterate that I'm not really getting law enforcement, and I want to know what accountability that would be for the police department to obstruct justice and keep me from law enforcement and allow someone to harass and terrorize me and deprive me of law enforcement to report it.
Yeah, I can direct you in the right place.
Well, then what's your position again?
What's that?
What's your position?
I'm the lieutenant of the comm center.
Oh, okay. Well, then good. So if the police department...
That's the police department.
Okay, if you're a lieutenant, you have the answers. I have some questions. If the police department...
I understand, but I'm a lieutenant of the comm center. I'm not at the police department.
Well, then we've talked before and you hung up. So for 10 years plus, no one has been able to answer questions. It's like people are trying to conceal crimes. Can you let me finish speaking? And you may have the answer.
You've been doing a lot of the speaking. I'm not trying to stop you. I'm just trying to direct you so you don't have to repeat yourself to everybody in the department. I want to try to get you to talk.
It's been happening 10 years. I just don't understand if I'm reporting such, why am I repeatedly mistreated for all these years? I just don't get it. Like I tried to tell the other party that transferred me to you, and I think I tried to discuss this last time, but you hung up in my face to cover for it. But if I don't know, it's just like I'm being railroaded to problems year after year. But all I had was a simple question, and I haven't been able. I've been robbed years. If you just let me ask a simple question, you may have the answer if I could speak.
Okay, but I don't think I hung up on you. I think that may have been someone else.
Your name sounds pretty familiar. There's a lot of people that don't want accountability for their actions. I may have it uploaded to a YouTube channel that a lot of people know about that they shouldn't. But nonetheless, but here's the thing. So if my abuser is boasting about buying off the police department, and then when I realize the police department's bought off, harassment is escalated, and then I can't report it. So crimes are being committed and I'm robbed of my ability to report it. Like 2.5 weeks ago, I tried to report a crime and they said that we were sadistic and played mind games and said someone was trying to call me and it never happened. So robbing someone of their ability to report crimes, disregarding them and taking bribes, I wanted to know what kind of consequences would that be?
Do you have the date and the time of the crime?
Are you able to give me some some information on what kind of criminal activity that is and what kind of crime it is and direction? Because that's why I called, and then we can go to the other channels that you wanted me to go through. But I called to know if the police department chose to take bribes, and this man is boasting about how the police department is bought off and paid in full, and I'm powerless, and they'll always cover for him.
Who's this man?
But my question is, I think that it appears that a lot of people know him because for some reason I'm being denied law enforcement.
Well, who is he? What's his name?
It's Jason Gardner. But my question is, if the police department is taking bribes to keep me from law enforcement to cover for him.
No.
Now, if that is happening, indeed, what kind of crime would that be?
That's not happening.
You don't have any evidence of it. You haven't done any investigation and you haven't seen any evidence. So you wouldn't have any knowledge of if it was happening or not. You're not psychic. So, but once again, the reason why I called was to get feedback on if police departments were indeed taking bribes. It happens. That's why why this behavior is regulated. It does happen. So my question of it is to not make assumptions. My question of it is if the police department chose to take bribes and deny someone of law enforcement in corruption, what kind of accountability would that be if they got caught?
That accountability would have to go through internal affairs.
Right, but what kind of charge would it be? Can you tell me what crime that would be? Because I've been robbed of the right to know that. What kind of crime is it for the police department taking bribes to enforce someone's abuse?
Well, that's what you just said. The abuse of power.
Okay, what kind of charge is that? Is that a misdemeanor or is that a felony?
not quite sure.
I thought it was a felony. Okay, so what direction do I take? Because I just were relocating to location to location to get bought off and controlled, and now abuse has escalated here, and I've been robbed of my right to report crimes, and you guys no longer return my calls, and then I endorse psychological abuse and mind games.
Right. Okay. So I'm not sure why you're getting transferred from one person to another, but the person you talked to is the Internal Affairs Lieutenant.
I called and I never got my phone calls returned, as well as multiple others. Schubert won't do it. The chief of police won't do it. Internal Affairs won't do it. And there's evidence and eyewitness testimonies that something was going on with my phone. And the police department covered for death threats and me reporting my abuser. They wouldn't investigate the report. And no other police department I've ever been to will ever investigate this man. I think that's a red flag that he's paying them. So there was someone there, and I have text right now from another party that says not only did my phone malfunction and behave bizarre, her phone did as well. I've moved to a brand new location, and somebody else's phone is glitching, and I don't want them to know how my life is. She said either her phone, she tried to tell me happy birthday, her phone kept putting me on hold, then my phone started doing it. This is a repeated pattern. And she said, this is weird. She tried to call me back. I tried to call her back. And, anyone willing to do law enforcement, this story can be collaborated. But I tried to call her back. She tried to call me, and it called the same person. She didn't get me, and I didn't get her calling her number. It called the same party. She said, not only I have the other party on the line, but you both called me trying to call each other. But you have to prove something like this repeatedly keeps happening. So, she's trying to tell me happy birthday, and we're frantic because we're trying to talk, and it keeps going on hold multiple different times. Both of our phones. I can't tell her this is my life. She'd want to have nothing to do with me like my family don't. I absolutely know what's going on. I don't want her to know I just got here to this new location. I can't get law enforcement to report it. My provider's covering for it, and family members, as well as everyone else I come in contact with. So what do you recommend?
I recommend that you come to the police department and talk to Lieutenant Poe with Internal Affairs. Give them all your evidence, your video, your notes that you have, and that's where we start.
Well, I don't know. I've relocated. I don't know how convenient it would be to get to that department. In addition to that, my abuser says that he's bought off the police department to set up another false arrest.
No, that's not true. No one's bought the police department.
Well, it's happened 20-something times, and all police departments have denied knowing them and being controlled by them. No, but if someone takes your freedom 20-something times, that's pretty bold.
That's not true. That's a lie. We're not bought off. That's in the movies. You got to get back to reality.
I'm not quite certain, but I have recorded multiple different arrests for trying to report a death threat. I have an arrest for police coming on their own, saying that Holiday, what was Roof Inn? Red Roof Inn lied on me. And then I asked the police why they were arresting me. They didn't know and took me to jail and assaulted me. I was at New Beginnings at a support group. You said that's not true. I'm giving you evidence. Tampering with evidence is a felony. I was at New Beginnings at a support group and was assaulted and arrested there. I'm not quite certain on why so many parties are psychic and have refused law enforcement to collaborate my reports. But I just don't appreciate everywhere I'm calling the sadistic and criminals and not abiding by the law. Why has it been impossible for almost a decade for everywhere I call wanted to control crimes hanging up on my Facebook?
All this stuff that I'm reporting, they want to disrespect me and talk over me call to call, person to person.
Well, if you don't know who I am, how would you know that? Are you psychic?
No, because you haven't told me who you are. So that's another reason why I don't believe you.
But here's the problem. That's not how the law goes. You don't just you do investigation work, and you don't just assume someone's statement is not true. You investigate it. So that's not how with law enforcement how you're supposed to behave. Obstruction of justice, as what I've just told you, is a felony. So you don't have the right as being involved in law enforcement to say I don't believe you. It's investigated. So nonetheless, what you believe or not, I'm being deprived of the investigation, and there's been eyewitnesses to my statements and what my experiences. But what my problem of it is why the police department is breaking the law and trying to conceal crimes and not following policies and protocols. That's what I call for. So your assumptions really is not you are not able to just make assumptions. You are required to do law enforcement and investigate, not just make assumptions and say something that is not true, which is.
Okay. Okay, what is your name?
It's Kiana Clark.
And you and I talked before, you say?
I thought you hung up in my face. You claimed that you were called me about something, and I was trying to report some crimes to you. But the whole ordeal now is I've been trying to report the things going on with my phone and my abuser, and I've been robbed of that right. So I'm concerned about this police department, that they are taking bribes to keep me. My abuser states that he was taking bribes. Then this location that was helping me, the police wanted to talk to these staff alone, excluded me from the conversation that was about me. Then they deprived me of assistance. I'm sorry?
What's your address? What's your address?
Why do you need my address?
Well, you're saying you're a victim of a crime. I need to know what your address is.
Okay, I don't know, because I've had to do this multiple different times. There's glitches, putting information out there that I was trying to hide, and he has the wrong address in another video, but he is saying it and repeatedly over and over to try to put my information out there. Not only did he do it, the organization knows where I relocated to, and they tried to put it out there, but I caught it. So they're completely going off what I'm calling about and want to put my information out there. This is vital because the government is racking up felonies and having people deprive me of assistance and treat me like this. They need an alibi, and they're blaming it on this YouTube channel and me recording crimes that they repeatedly commit. But it was way worse than this. I don't know if I'm repeating myself because I've done this multiple different times. That's their alibi to not get charges, because this is a felony charge to treat someone like this in the country. So they need an alibi, and they're blaming it on anyone they can to not get accountability. But these are police. I don't know if it's the FBI, CIA, and how high this goes up. And I've even seen people that look like they were from Secret Service, as you can hear from the Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship, OCBF. And I wanted to know who that was calling the police on me for trying to flee abuse. But you keep in consideration that I was in New Beginnings in Garland and was assaulted and arrested for trying to flee abuse. I've been pushed and shoved trying to get protection orders. My arrest threatened. Okay, so let me keep going. I just want you, this is commentary so you can know the history and the pattern of insanity that I had to endure, that hopefully that it'll be someone that has integrity to know that it's completely inexcusable for someone to be treated like this. Are you sending someone out?
No.
Okay, but right now I've made several different reports. Can you not repeat my information because I record my calls?
I understand, but if you live out,
concentrate on what happened when I was in that location. And can you repeat my information? Because I record my calls. It's a problem what I endure because people repeatedly want to put my safety at risk. As I established, could you not repeat my location? He repeated the location. I have relocated. And if I'm calling in people in law enforcement and government officials don't take stock in the value of my life and deliberately want to put my safety at risk and are not held accountable, how do I combat that? Law enforcement that refuses to abide by the law for all this time, trapping me in a living nightmare. So obviously something is amiss with my phone for me to repeatedly call people that want to conceal crimes and jeopardize my safety, but it happens in person too. Am I just going to be trapped? I feel like a pre-civil rights movement situation to where I have this life under the radar being violated and robbed of all kinds of different rights and trapped in it. Just nothing that I can do. But we have had a civil rights movement that protects people from experiences like what I have, and it is criminal, but people haven't been held accountable. The Martin Luther King march for people to have their freedom and freedoms that I don't have. We're retrogressing. All these locations, the location, government officials are tracking me, monitoring me illegally. Lord knows what else. That at one point there were hidden cameras that nobody would investigate. Someone was telling me what was going on online. I showed it to the police and they covered for it. So I have no clue if the same thing is following me, if someone's not only monitoring me and listening on my devices, if they are abusing power to have cameras in my locations like they have been in the past. But nonetheless, so I'm being monitored in each location I go to get rights or get services to reestablish myself and get built up. It's all interrupted. Then I experience strange support and I'm deprived of law enforcement.
Okay, you're at 80.
All locations that I've called today have did the same thing.
So I don't know if you got this because, like I said, I've had to do this multiple different times. He had the wrong location, and I tried to get that. I re-recorded to get that, so that wouldn't be recorded, even though it was the wrong location. And my device glitched and still recorded it anyway. So I've done this multiple different times, so I don't really know what all you're hearing. So someone is deliberately doing a lot to make sure these the scam is these YouTubers know where I'm at so they can have havoc and not be held accountable for it. Create havoc and not be held accountable.
So that is a red flag that there's misconduct and you guys are racking up felonies and deliberately putting my safety at risk. You don't have my best interest at heart because this repeatedly keeps happening in multiple different locations today. I've had to redo calls because people deliberately...
Where do you want me to send an officer? Where do you want me to send an officer to you? You tell me a place.
Okay, so, but here's the thing. If all these are going on and you guys can't be trusted and my abuser saying that he set up a false arrest, I just don't have rights. So once again, the domestic violence organization deliberately stated where I was at in Malice. Another location did it. But this has happened years. People deliberately try to put my safety at risk. I ask them, please don't repeat my personal information. They do in Malice anyway. I asked you multiple different times not to repeat my location. The police department where I live demanded my door had to be open to violate and disrespect me so people can know what apartment I stayed in.
Well,
and this is just how I have to live. What do you do when law enforcement would deliberately put your safety at risk for profit? How do you combat that? Would law enforcement never have an accountability for crimes that they repeatedly commit?
Where do you want to send the officer?
I don't know, sir. I just feel like it's pre-civil rights movement. I don't know. Because all you're going to do is just enlist this place to violate me too. Like you've been doing.
If you want me to send an officer to you, I can do it. Where do you want them to go?
I told you I relocated and you tried to give my information. In Malice, you said that wasn't your jurisdiction. So it's just pointless because you guys don't have my best interest at heart. You were accomplices and abusers.
I'm trying to send an officer to your location. I need a location.
I gave it to you and you kept wanting to give it to the YouTubers in Malice like the other locations today. So I have to keep on re-recording these calls and you're making it toxic because you guys are deliberately putting my personal information out there in Malice. That's why I'm just trying to establish it's psychological warfare. It's mind games.
I'm sorry?
I don't even know if this YouTube channel's real. So it's like, I'm trying to fight the tears back. And I mean, the therapy's denied, but you pour your heart out to people and panic. And what they do, they're sadistic and heartless and handcuff you and take your freedom. You're at church begging for your life. Then they send the police in the shadows. Just the hate. And then you desperately don't want to be around sadistic. I don't. If I had choices, I would get the hell away from people like that. But they hunt me down and track me down. I don't want to be surrounded by criminals that are heartless. But they hunt me down and track me down and enlist other people to be sadistic too. All I want is I don't want to be forced into homelessness and to be violated and disrespected, kept away from my kids, felony after felony to be racked up. But I don't have choices. You pick on my phone, repeatedly getting defrauded out of funds. Felony after racked up felony after racked up felony over and over and over again to get nowhere. already at a brand new environment, crimes committed with brand new friends on their phones and my phones too. And all I keep running into sadistic, sick people that try to put my safety at risk even more to consider other felonies that people chose to wreck up.
Where are you? Where are you right now?
You don't have my best interest at heart, so all you got, what's happening is my phone is being hacked, and then when I said aloud, they're going to make sure the officers that come out is corrupt, and they're going to want to talk to people in my location privately, landlords and other people, and make them accomplices to other crimes. So it's not safe because all you do is abuse your power and enlist other people to commit crimes and be psychologically abusive too.
Come to the police department.
I'm not in that environment anymore. We already established that. I moved for you guys to just commit the same crimes here.
Well, reestablish your location and come to the police department.
It's fruitless.
Can you do that?
So the time now, I got started with this. It's 2:19. I have been trying to solve issues since 7 a.m. But I was on this like a job to get nowhere. It's not going to happen until people go to prison.
Come to the police department or tell me where you're at. We'll come to you.
You just said that wasn't your jurisdiction. I asked you multiple different times to not say my location, and you tried to anyway in malice.
I wasn't sure that. What do you want me to do?
I want the feds to do something. I want people to go to prison. If they choose to be sadistically, psychologically abusive and sadistic to conceal crimes and hateful, I don't think people like that need to run the government. I think that's being ran into the ground. I think that it's unsafe and a threat to national security when people like you guys run the government. I don't think anyone's safe, as they have not been for you enlisting civilians to be accomplices with cover-up of crimes everywhere I'm at. Thousands of people are enlisted in cover-up and criminal activity, and people with badges and guns and government officials abusing their power and enforcing crimes on civilians. I think it's sick and it's also criminal. That's a threat to national security when you have a gun and badge and you enforce crimes on people.
We have about 10 more seconds on this phone call. So what do you want me to do? You come here or am I going to go to you?
I just want someone to be able to put you guys in jail where you guys need to be so you don't do this to anyone else. I think that you're probably identity thieves, and if they haven't cared about my safety, what about the other people that have had identity theft? Do they care about how identity theft is on the rise? If people haven't cared about me, and what about identity thieves running the government? Is that a threat to national security?
I'm going to end this conversation, okay? I need you to come to the police department, okay? Have a good day. I hope your day gets better, okay?
Okay, so the recording ended. So it is now 4:17. I got started at 7 a.m. with the issues with the Amazon. I still don't know what's going on. So all day doing videos over and over, people putting in my personal information in malice. But like I said, it's been a repeated pattern. The time now is 4:17. All day, in fact, 10 years to get nowhere. This is just my experiences.